Last week, Manchester United, they had a humiliating defeat from one of their old rivals in Liverpool, and we saw how they got thumped at home 5-0. Everybody was calling for the head of Ole, but cynics wouldn't want Ole to be sacked because Ole is giving the other rivals a fun field day. Like Tunde said in the WhatsApp group yesterday, that we've turned this Ole into a comic relief because we want it as a comic relief, because we that were not Manchester United fans were good to say Ole in. But we saw what happened yesterday. Manchester United went to Tottenham Stadium. We could say, yes, a poor Tottenham side. Ole did a few tweaks in his formation, starting with three at the back and starting Cavani and Ronaldo. Like I mentioned in the intro, if you combine the age of those two players, Cavani and Cristiano Ronaldo, it's over 70 years of age, and they did the job. And like I said, that's what matters when it comes to the EPL. Getting the 3 points is all that matters, and it's like a sigh of relief for Ole picking 3 points. They go again, Atalanta in the Champions League, the Manchester City in the EPL next weekend. Ole, okay, starting first, should Ole still be sacked as Manchester United
Definitely, there's no doubt about that. I think Ole is like a cat. He has 9 lives. I think he has used 3 so far, and he has 6 left. But then the question is, will he be giving 6 chances to, play with his spare lives? So let me start from the win against Spurs. So he changed his formation. Good enough, they had the return of Rafael Varane, who brought huge stability to the defense. So now they play with the 5 at the back. However, this formation does not suit every other star player in the team. I'm talking about Jesse Lingard, I'm talking about Jadon Sancho in particular. And now playing with the 3 at the back and operating with 3 midfielders, I'm still wondering why Donny van der Beek did not have a spot in that team. I'm wondering why Fred is still starting ahead of Donny van der Beek. It beats me really. I think about it. Is it the work rate? Is it what is he thinking about? And in my own opinion, I don't get it. Doesn't make sense to me. I've seen Donny van der Beek perform well for Ajax. I've seen Donny van der Beek perform for the Dutch national team as well. Van der Beek is one of those few players in this current generation who is an all-round midfielder, if you ask me. And he's someone who can also, if he goes to Italy, he's someone who can, if he's under a very good manager, he could play in the register position, which has been made famous by the likes of Pirlo, Sergio Busquets, and Jorginho. So I see a lot of qualities in Donny van der Beek, and I'm wondering why he's still not in this squad. Jadon Sancho was in a much better team before coming to Manchester United. He obviously does not fit into a 3 at the back system unless you are possibly playing with 3 forwards, and that was not the case. We could see that his 2 forwards, Ronaldo and Cavani. And then, just like you've mentioned, I'm wondering why Ronaldo and Cavani. Yes, they are the 2 best attackers, but then when you've got people like Marcus Rashford and quote and unquote the so-called ice cold finisher Anthony Martial, you then begin to wonder really what's going on. But kudos to Rashford, 3 goals in 3 games back in the Premier League. He also has 1 goal in the Champions League as well. The boy is good for me. So, but the question is, what is the future of the team going forward? I don't think Ole is the right person to lead his team going forward still. And then you've got coaches like Zidane, Antonio Conte, possibly Roberto Martinez could be in the running for the job. So you've got 3 experienced managers, but in particular, two managers who know what it takes to manage a galaxy of stars. I don't think Ole has the personality to do that, in my own opinion. But most importantly, you've got Zinedine Zidane, who has worked with the likes of Varane and Ronaldo already and knows how to make the best out of these players. It's still Ole out for me.
Well, but I know your point to you suggest, or to what you're saying, that still Ole out. But you made mention of some vital points where you made mention of some players Ole have not been able to utilize ever since they've joined Manchester United. So I'm going to switch to Chimamaka. Chimamaka, yesterday we saw what happened. Ole needed to make the 3 point. Ole needed to get the 3 points just to ease the tension or ease the pressure. But Okpa said it, tactical wise, Ole is not there. So Ole is not it for him. Ole is not the man for the job. But be as it may, he was able to do what any other manager would do. Go there, pick up the 3 point, tweak his formation, and get the job done. So is there anything, or is your own point or opinion contrary to that of Okpe?
No, in plain terms, it's not contrary actually. But for banter's sake, we like Ole in. But for football reasons, for footballing reasons, I don't see a reason why Ole will still be at the helm over there. Yeah, he was very lucky yesterday. I realized that after the bashing from Liverpool last week, he had to think of something and realized he had to call on his old guards to come and make the difference. And if you look at it, they had the goals scored by all their strikers. Yeah. And who are these guys? They are the old boys. So if he can work with these old boys and they will deliver, good for him. Okpa said something earlier. He has 9 lives. Okpa, I totally agree with you, because I don't see a reason why a man. I don't see a reason why a team like Manchester United will go 3 straight years without winning a trophy, and everybody in England is comfortable with it. So I don't know. I think he has somebody cooking up something for him somewhere that is actually really working. In my own opinion, I don't see him being there to make United the United we've known them to be. He was very lucky in the game, yeah. But I won't call it luck. I wouldn't call it luck. It only tells that they are hungry players who are to perform. Yeah, no.
Tottenham
we've seen Tottenham this season.
Permit me for that word. They were shit.
All through this season, they've not had any exceptional game they've played.
Yeah.
Since
and
really took over.
By the way, just a few minutes before this podcast, I think I saw something like, it seems like Nuno Espirito Santo has been sacked by Spurs. I'm not sure.
No, he hasn't been sacked yet. They had a crisis meeting after their loss. Okay. So I think he might be given probably a few more games to prove himself, else he'll be given the sack. So we know that's what's going to happen.
Rumor has it that Ole as well was given 3 games. This game against Spurs being one of them, the game against Atlanta, and then the Manchester derby to prove that he's still the man at the helm.
It only means that Ole's expiry date is actually knocking on the door. If he's been given 3 games already, because he has 3 straight years. He had 3 straight years to do that, and it's 3 games they are giving him now. Well, back to what I was saying. Okpa mentioned some players in Manchester United squad that he expects to be getting game time, but are not getting game time. Now, if Ole is as critical as I expect him to be, then Fred deserves time on that pitch. Reason being that it's possible that Fred shows up more in trainings than Van der Beek. So it's possible Van der Beek is not doing.
There's something Ole is saying behind the scenes that we are not saying. Yep.
Because I remember when Tuchel came in, we all as Chelsea fans, like myself, I was one of those who was bashing the German defender, Rudiger. I was one of those who was bashing him. But since Tuchel came in, every Chelsea player, even the ones who joined Chelsea yesterday, want him to remain there. Yeah. Now we are begging him to sign a new contract. It only tells you the impact of a manager on their players. Now, going back to Manchester United, we saw Cavani yesterday, and I read something. I read a post from one of their journalists talking about Cavani's best performance in training in Ole Gunnar's 3 years as Manchester United manager. Ole said he has not seen Cavani. Okay, he has had the best training session with Cavani this last training session. That's last week Tuesday, prior to the Spurs game. So it only means something. It means he saw something that would allow him start Cavani with a Ronaldo on the pitch, and by God's grace, he brought out the results. Now, talking about this whole thing, we can't keep picking these points. If you give me chance to keep talking, I will single-handedly pick out Luke Shaw, pick out Anthony Martial. I'll pick out guys that if I finish analyzing them, you won't to watch Manchester United match again. But
don't forget
let's
the fridge. Don't forget the fridge.
80 million pounds fridge, no problem. So there's so much to talk about. But Ole has, I think, 3 games. Let's see what happens after 3 games. Then Ole out.
Yeah, I know both of you want Ole out, but I beg to differ, because I'm not doing this because of banter's sake, and I'm not doing this because I want to have a fun field day or trying to make jest of Manchester United. But the point is, we saw what happened last season. Manchester United finishing second in the EPL table. These same players were the players Ole Gunnar Solskjær worked with, bar Ronaldo, Varane and Sancho. We saw that Manchester United, we could say they had one of the best defense last season. Finishing strong last season, getting into the Europa League final, losing out to Sevilla and Villarreal, permit me for that, in the final via a penalty shootout. And we saw what happened at the end of last season. Now, going into this season, everything has, reverted to type. Is it that, I just want you guys to look at it critically, just to round off this episode, is it that the players are not turning up for Ole Gunnar Solskjær in terms of the renowned professional players, the young players? We saw what happened yesterday. It had to take Ronaldo and Cavani to turn up yesterday to give Manchester United 3 points. And like I said earlier, combined age of over 70 years. These guys, I'm sure, give or take, is just the season they can give for Manchester United. What about the future? What happens? Is it that these young guys are not turning up? Okpe, would you want to go first?
Well, so if you're taking a look at the time frame in which Ole has been in charge of United, when he first took over a very young squad.
Yeah.
At that point in time, the oldest person in the squad had to be probably Nemanja Matic, until the likes of Ronaldo and Cavani have joined in recent times. So he had a lot of young players. He had a very young front line, the likes of Rashford, Martial, Lingard, and then the likes of Greenwood have now come into the forefront as well. So
yeah,
when you think about it, he had a lot of young players. Now he's got experienced players in the squad. He's got proven winners in the squad. Now I'm talking about
turning up. Are the young players doing the job?
Exactly. In recent times, Mason Greenwood, since Mason Greenwood made his debut for Manchester United, he's been an exceptional player. I take a look at the 2019-20 season. Marcus Rashford had an exceptional season on his own. Who else has been consistently exceptional? Luke Shaw has had a turnaround, he's got a new nickname from the United fans, Shawbeto, and then he went all the way to the Euros and he performed well for England, but definitely in recent games he hasn't been the same. And obviously the club captain, I really don't understand the rationale behind Harry Maguire joining the club, and in the same season he's handed the captain's armband. I really don't understand. That is not the tradition of Manchester United. Any normal manager, permit me to use that word, any normal manager does not just give the armband to a new player who comes into the squad in his first season, because before any player joins the team, I believe there is a hierarchy in terms of leadership, right? And contrary to Maguire joining, the hierarchy of leadership before was David De Gea, Paul Pogba, Juan Mata, and then Nemanja Matic. Based on the number of years spent at the club, and then obviously the influence among the players. And then at a point in time, there seemed to be an obvious fallout between Pogba and Ole. Pogba wanted to leave. Everyone knew that, because also his agents made that clear. But however, now that we are talking, you made a very, very good point. So if Manchester United do decide to give Ole Gunnar Solskjær the whole of this season, it's a gamble. Why is that? Because they've had a very, very great summer. They've signed world-class players, and then they've got a mouth-watering team on paper. However, you need a world-class manager. You need a very good tactician to simply make this team work. So you need a manager who. So there are many reasons why you need a different manager apart from Ole. Number one, you need an experienced manager who has won trophies. You need someone who has a huge character, someone who commands respect from his players, and someone who is tactically sound.
Okay.
Zidane is also a tactically sound coach, if you want to think about it. And I'll give you just a perfect example. The last three titles that he won with the last 3 Champions League titles that he won, and obviously the only 3 Champions League titles he won with Real Madrid. In particular, the last 2 seasons, talking about 2016, 2017, and 2017, 2018. At the beginning of the 2016-2017 season, he had issues with the team because it seemed like opponents already knew their loophole and the way they always attack. And then he rejigged the team in terms of how they defend. It was no longer a flatline 4-3-3. It then became a 4-3-3 going forward. And when they are defending, it's a 4-4-2. So Gareth Bale will drop back and join with the likes of Toni Kroos, Modric, and Casemiro, leaving only Ronaldo and
I get your point, but
Benzema. So exactly, so that's just an example of a tactically sound manager as well.
The players turned up for Zidane at that time, didn't they?
Of course, because Zidane is someone that has been there and done it at every level. With all due respect to Ole Gunnar Solskjær, yes, he's a cult hero at Manchester United, but then he's not a successful manager. I mean, from Molde to Cardiff, and somehow finds way to Old Trafford. Come on. No, it's not really ideal.
Okay, let me switch gears to Chimamaka. Chimamaka, do you think the players are not turning up for Ole? Or are they turning up for Ole?
He has his personality to deal with first. I don't think he has the control in that dressing room first. Well, according to what Okwe said, I'll pick some few points from what Okwe said. Giving an instance to Zidane, I wouldn't want to analyze that, but you realize that the only way you can actually be successful in a team like United is first gaining control of your players on and off the field of play. The moment you can do that, you have everybody at the snap of your fingers. So that's exactly what it's supposed to look like. Nobody said you should start turning boss over them overnight and making unnecessary rules and the likes. No, you can be a friend and they respect you. So that is one thing the players earlier, I think 2 seasons back, didn't see in Solskjær that warranted Pogba to open his mouth to say he wanted to leave. So these are kind of things, because I don't think he doesn't have the personality. He doesn't have that charisma to carry a big team like United. You can't just shove United under the carpet and you tell, as Okpa said, from Molde to Cardiff, from Cardiff to please, let's be frank with each other. This is not Enyimba United. In fact, sorry, no disrespect to Enyimba, but it's not Stoke City or the likes. It is Manchester United. They've worked with Ferguson. They brought in experienced EPL players. They brought in David Moyes, who we know has spent over how many years in the EPL, still was fired. They brought in Louis van Gaal, still was fired. They brought in Jose Mourinho, still was fired. And you have Solskjær who can do 3 years. Bro, beyond what we're thinking about.
Van Gaal in a short time won a trophy. He won the FA Cup. Mourinho won 3 trophies in 1 season.
Europe, exactly. So I know what we're talking about. It's not the Ole Gunnar Solskjær in United. The only way it can be resolved, the only way they can bring a solution to it is letting the man go and bring in a tactically sound manager, a commanding manager who will take charge of his dressing room and the big players. Because first you can have a problem with big players. If you can bring in a manager who can handle big names. For instance, Antonio Conte, if you are too big, if you think you are bigger than his team, he will send you to go and play under 17 or under 23. So that is how big a manager he is. So if Solskjær cannot do that to such a team like that, then he has lost it. So for me, Ole should be given his 3 matches. After 3 matches, I know he will fumble and eventually will leave.
Like we all know, history at times could repeat itself, because at the time Ole gets to this level or at this stage where his job is at stake, he tends to spin out results and he tends to win these games. So it's possibly these 3 matches he has been given, he has won one out of it, or is it starting from Atalanta?
Yeah. No. He's won one out of it, so 2 left now.
Yeah, so Atalanta is there, Manchester City. We know what he did to Manchester City last season, home and away. So, it's like a cycle. So, what if he wins these 2 matches that are left? Does it mean Ole will not be sacked? So, it's a question for us to unravel after we watch these 2 games. Because I know, yes, the jury's out. The jury's out on Ole, but like we all know, football brings a lot of surprises, and we'll just sit and watch and see what happens with Ole at Manchester